Good morning, everyone. We are Group 1, and this is our feasibility study. Our group members consist of Kennard Matheson, Gavin Rogers, myself, Ravina McLeod, Ian Dixon, Nathan Treasure, and Sakina Mitchell. So let me tell you a story about how my parents came to own their first home. So they were looking for a house to buy. Somebody directed them to go to an auction house. On the day of the auction, my dad was busy with work, so he sent my mom to go alone. My mother, never knowing what an auction was or what happened there, she went, bid it on the house, and won. At the end of it, the lady came to her and was just like, Mrs. McLeod, you bid and you won. So how would you like to go about doing this? My mom was just like, what are you talking about? They just like, you bid on the house. Mother's like, no. It's like, well, yeah, and you won. So what would you like to do? She's like, well, then they come here to bid, but seeing as though we have it, we're gonna have to find a way to get it. So long story short, my parents have owned their very first home for a really long time. So today we'll be discussing introduction and description of business or business model canvas, market research methodology or areas of focus, and then our conclusion and recommendation. The name of our company is JamBid. JamBid is Jamaica's first and only platform for bidding or auction. It will be on an individual based level. We're looking to buy and sell legal items, and it's a buyer and seller focused business.
Our target market is based on persons that are 18 years and older. We prefer to have disposable income, meaning income remaining after deduction of taxes and social security charges, available to be spent or saved as one wishes. We want to perform transaction independently with potential buyer or seller. Finally, for our target market is technological adept, which means highly skilled in a specific area. The methodology said that 90 people were polled using online survey in a Google format and were distributed to several platforms. The survey contained 19 questions, both qualitative and quantitative questions. The good thing about our survey that was issued out was that all of them has been received for a total of 90 respondents.
Okay, so this is the business model canvas for JamBid. So I'll just go through each of the elements briefly. So in terms of the key partners for this business, it's mainly the investors which will provide the capital for the startup, as well as influencers who will help with promotion. The key activities of JamBid, this entails platform design and maintenance, promotion and advertising, dispute settlement, and customer engagement. The key resources for this business will be servers to host the platform itself, seeing that it's digital. The, there will be also influencers, which I just spoke about, and also professionals to deal with customer relations. The value proposition for JamBid, we will be the first and only bidding and auctioning platform for Jamaica. So this is the core attractiveness of our business, and it will provide a means of getting the most value for an item on an individual level. In terms of customer relationships, we will be able to connect with our customers via social media platforms, and they will receive updates about the business via email. The channels through which we will connect to our customers. This will also entail the use of social media platforms that I mentioned, and the platform itself will be free to sign up and use. In terms of customer segments, this is the target customer base for JamBid, which targets adults 18 years and older with disposable income, and they'll do transactions on their own. The cost structure of the business, this is what we are willing to spend for the startup. This is the server hosting, platform updating, promotion of the platform, and re resolving disputes. In terms of revenue streams to make profit for the business, we have a premium account feature which customers can sign up for, and they will have unlimited duration on their bids. There's also an option to pay a one-time fee to make duration last longer, and there's the option to add advertisements to the platform.
In terms of our customer segments. So our hypothesis was that the interested customers will be 18 years or older. They will reside locally. They will be technologically adept, be willing to engage and create bids and complete transactions independently. So, in terms of this hypothesis being testable, we see that the survey can gather data on age, residence, and interests. In terms of it being precise, the data for each parameter will be within a precise range or be a precise response. And in terms of it being discrete, we ensure that no overly personal information was acquired. So we see that our hypothesis was in fact correct as it correlated with our assumption, so that over 50% of respondents were within the range of 18 to 24 years. And this was significant because it's an online business and we want our respondents to be technologically adept. And between 18 and 24 years, persons are the most technologically adept. We see that 97.8 of our respondents owned a phone and 84.8 of them used it very often. And this is very significant because it's an online business, as we said, and persons mostly use their phone. So, hence, we see that 66% of them were willing to sell an item via an online auction, and 70% of them were willing to buy an item via the platform. So, we see that there's actually a market for out there for a business. We also saw that 64.1% of them were willing to complete transactions independently, while 23.9% said maybe.
Customer relationships. So for the hypothesis, this will be for customers to be able to contact us through social media as a means of communication, that being our email or website and other social. So for the testability of the hypothesis, the survey was our main source of information and was used to gather information on the participants' most used communication platforms. So it is precise as the data obtained from the survey highlights as the participants' most used or preferred platform communication, and it is discrete as personal information will not be collected or shared. So we can now conclude that our hypothesis was correct as the data obtained correlated to the assumption. So from the data gathered, almost all respondents use either Instagram or WhatsApp. 54% uses Facebook, whilst 47.8% uses Twitter, and 32.2% uses Telegram, and 6% or less uses TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube.
For our value proposition, our hypothesis is that this will be Jamaica's first and only bidding or auction site, and it will be accessible via mobile devices. For the testability, it was to determine if there are any other auction or bidding sites locally and to determine persons' access to smartphones. For precision, our findings were both objective and quantitative, and it was discrete because no personal information was required. So, the findings of our hypothesis was proven to be true based on the information collected from the survey. As such, we can conclude that no other auction or bidding platform exists locally in Jamaica or that any of our respondents knew about. 97.8% of our respondents owned a phone and 84.8% of them used it very often.
Okay, so in terms of the channel, this is the means by which the business will connect to its customer segment and the medium through which it will provide the service. And our hypothesis for this is that the platform will be available in the form of a mobile application and also a website, and it will be promoted via the most used social media and news mediums. And the platform itself will be free to use and sign up. So through the use of a survey, we found out that it was in fact testable as we gathered data on device use and communication platform use, and it was precise as the findings were found to be exact figures for each criteria, and it was discrete as no overly personal information was acquired. So from the findings, we actually concluded that the hypothesis was in fact correct. So we had assumed that most of the customer segment would be technologically adept, and we found out that 97.8% of them own a smartphone, and 84.8% of them use it very often. We also assumed that we would be able to reach them via the most used social media platforms, and we can see that all of the respondents use Instagram and WhatsApp. 54% of them use Facebook, 47.8% use Twitter. And we also found out that a majority of them are willing to sell and buy items via an online platform. 65% are willing to sell, 70% are willing to buy. So we were correct to assume that that channel would work.
For our revenue streams. For our hypothesis, we earn revenue in three ways essentially. Premium service, which is limitless duration on bids. Two, bid extensions beyond the default week. And thirdly, ads on the page or app. To test our hypothesis, we checked users' willingness to pay extension fees. It was precise because data was quantitative. It was discrete as no personal information was required. From the survey responses, the hypothesis would be deemed as true, but revision is necessary. Numbers show that 36% was willing to pay extension fees and 43% was undecided. The ad revenue in the BMC accounts for a small portion of profit. In conclusion, JamBid is the first and only bidding service in JA, which is a digital medium to buy and sell goods at high value. For our business, we outline customer segments, customer relationship, value proposition, channels, and revenue streams, which was all viewed from findings from market research. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you. At this moment, we will take questions.